start the meeting. Begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the agenda states that we're going to go into the budget review, but actually we're going to switch it up and we're going to go to item 3 on the agenda, the recognition of the Fall Scholar Athlete teams. So I'd like to hand it over. Yeah. To our presenter.
All right, good evening everyone, and by the way, athletes, when we call you up, I hope you saw how I did that. You have like a grand entrance coming in, so you have to go backstage and right up to the front, so be ready. Good evening everyone. Tonight, we get to honor the hard work and dedication of our fall athletes and teams. At the end of each season, NISFA honors those teams and individuals that excel in the classroom. We will start by recognizing our teams. To receive team recognition, the team's average GPA for 75% of their roster must be greater than or equal to 90. The following teams and coaches have been recognized for their accomplishments. Boys cross country and Coach Van Arnhem. Field, go ahead and Field hockey and Coach Ledestro. Boys golf and Coach Holland. Girls golf and Coach Holland. Boys soccer and Coach Horning. Girls soccer and Coach Fitzpatrick. Volleyball and Coach Livingston. And now for our individual scholar athletes. A scholar athlete is a person who juggles both academics and athletics while maintaining a 90 or greater grade point average. This requires discipline along with time management skills, as student athletes must meet the demands of the classroom with the commitment and expectations of being a varsity athlete. The following student athletes have been recognized for their accomplishments. When I call your name, please come up and receive your pin and certificate from Mr. Hale. Sydney Arminio. Jenna Berjou. Marley Bramer. Danny Brown. Lindsay Brown. Eunice Cartagena. Devin DeMagistris. Cole Downing. Josie Eden. Braden Fennessy. Embry Fielding. Allison Gray. Mason Gray. Jackson Green. Jacob Hanna. Elliot Haverly. Soraya Hawk. David Jerebeck. Nora Johnson. Gavin Klingbeil. Jack Coel. Juliana Coel. Maddie Kramer. Landon Laird. Natalie Laporte. Sierra Lundquist. Jacob Moss. Ayla Naselli. Peyton Nellis. Peyton Nigro. Alondra Adi. Dia Patel. Ben Reed. Jacob Risley. Clayton Rorick. Macy Rose. Olivia Shremezi. Noah Stock. Kira Sullivan. Jonathan Vanderwalker. Emily Vyacheslava. McKenna Ward. Molly Wilcox. Mercedes Windecker. Jay Wing. And Nashwing. Congratulations to our teams and our athletes, and thank you very much for coming tonight.
Okay, so reverse, we're going to go back to the budget presentation by Dr. Crankshaw for the administrative component of the 2025-26 budget.
So much good noise coming from everybody. That was very nicely done. Classic. I like the presentation. It's a little nice one there. So tonight marks the first time the board, in public anyway, will sort of learn a little bit more about the budget to come for 25, 26. Getting ahead of myself, I almost said 26, 27. But this budget is pretty much at this point based on numbers that are very conservative. Basically a rollover portion in this administrative component, and this is sort of the format the standard format that we use in the budget development. And we start with just some preliminary slides. A couple of board members haven't seen this necessarily in public yet, so I'm not going to bore them too much because we've already gone through this in some of our committee meetings. But I believe the budget is an expression of our community's values. It is not just a way to, spend money. It is literally supporting the educational programs that we as a community want to see for our kids. And hopefully that's an agreement we can all reach at some point, and we actually put it out to the public vote in May. But right now, this is the first night we'll talk about our mission, our vision to be the school district that all others want to come by and measure themselves by. We also have goals established. We have 6 of them. And goal number 1 is about student achievement. Goal number 2, social emotional learning. Goal 3 is really about highly prized personnel, meaning we not only need to recruit good people to work with our children, we need to develop them, we need to maintain relationships with them, and retain them along the way. We also believe that it's important for the district, the Board of Education, to provide resources for all the programs that they say are important. But we can't do that without goal number 5, which talks about fiscal health, and we have to be a district in good standing. We have to look down the road in long-term planning so that we're not ever caught short where we were several years ago with what could have been fiscal insolvency at some point. We are in much better shape now, I'm happy to say, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Finally, goal 6, community relationships. I suppose any public meeting is one attempt at building community relationships among others. Our kids, our teachers, our resource providers, they all do this work every day. And as our administrators do as well, and our board out in the community as representatives of their constituents. Let's move to this slide, which talks a little bit about expenditures. And just as a reminder, our budget has 3 main components. One is administrative, another is capital, and another is program. Program is by far the most significant portion of our budget. It is roughly 75% of our budget or so. Capital is a little less so, 15% or so of our budget. And we do try to keep the administrative component right around 7 or 8% of our budget. And as far as revenues go, that is expenditures. And so we are looking at a very modest, so far we set a goal for ourselves. Let's try to set a budget increase no more than 3% if we can. Sometimes that's not possible. But you can see right now, just an administrative component of the budget, the way we've developed it as a rollover budget, year to year, we're looking at just a 2.64% increase. This is primarily due to salary increases, contractual benefit increases, and some supplies. Going into revenues, where are we getting our money from? We talk a lot about state aid because Johnstown receives about 2/3 of its funding from the state and federal government. 1/3 of it comes from taxpayers. And so when we look at our revenues, we have to look at state aid. We are actually projecting less overall state aid for this coming year's budget than we have had in the past. As far as federal aid, we really get no significant increases ever, year to year. A lot of times those federal aids come from reimbursements for our special education students, among other things. The tax levy is on everybody's mind. If you're a resident and you own your home, you're probably thinking about tax levy. If you're a business, you're probably thinking about tax levy. We try to maintain a moderate increase in tax levy from year to year. But you cannot have a budget increase without also expecting some increase in revenue from the state and federal government, and of course from the tax levy. We're looking right now, this may change, we're looking at a 2.21% increase in the tax levy. Last year, if you remember, the tax levy increase was more like 4%. So we're looking at a more modest Just as an aside, you probably know that New York State Governor put the challenge to Rockefeller Institute to redo the formula for figuring out foundation. Well, those recommendations are back, and it looked better than I think we expected for public schools, but the governor still needs to make her decision based on what Rockefeller Institute actually came up with. So tax levy is complicated. It's part of the process of a formula process, and all I can tell you is right now, that's kind of where we're projecting the tax levy to be. If the governor makes those decisions based on foundation aid, how we're going to use that formula, that can really change. Okay. And each year we have a gap between the revenues we have and the expenditures we really need to make, and we usually make that up with incorporating some fund balance. We have a healthy fund balance, and we will again be utilizing that fund balance to bridge that gap. We also have a plan to use reserves. Right now, we're not really settled on how we might use those reserves, but in the past, we've taken $900, $500,000 from, I want to say the ERS, and TRS. We have reserve funds for those, so we're usually overfunded in those reserves, so we take some of the money out there to add to our revenues for that gap. I'm going to skip the revenues. These explain a little bit more from the state aid. We receive a state aid package each, I would say, April. We sort of start learning about it in January, but we really have a more final state aid package in April. Again, this is just projecting as much skill as we have, pretty conservatively. We're looking at our expense-driven aids. In other words, the money we spend on closings typically, the money we spend on transportation typically. We get a certain percentage of that back the following year in state aid. We don't have transportation costs now in terms of bus purchases, so we have to think about that. That accounts for the $358 less in expense revenue. Foundation aid, we just don't know what's up yet. We always plan on a flat increase. Excess costs are those high costs for students who usually place in outside special education programs. We expect an increase there. Instructional resources usually tied to closings. So we're looking at less total state aid as the previous slide indicated. And that can change, but again, it's preliminary. I have to wait a couple of months and see how it all fleshes out. I try to explain state aid a little bit more carefully here. Expense-driven aid, I sort of give you a thumbnail sketch of that. Foundation aid, what that is. Excess costs, what those are. I'm going to skip over the tax levy because we're going to spend some more time on that a little later in the process. So the purpose of tonight is to talk about the administrative component of the budget. This is the draft for next year. We're looking at, I would say, roughly 7 to 8% of the proposed budget total. This money goes to the Board of Education, the Central Administration, Finance, Legal and Personal, Administrative Supervision Improvement, and Central Services and Special Items. I'll explain a little bit more about that. Here we go. So, bottom line, the Board of Education, we will see a small increase there. The Board of Education includes money you might spend on conferences. It also includes Lorraine Carpenter, the board clerk's salary and benefits. So we do see a little bit of increase there year to year, pretty modest. Central admin, that's me, that's Susie, that's part of a few other people that's running your superintendent's office. Finance is running the financial side of the house, the assistant superintendent salary, all the HR folks, the business office. Legal and personnel, we have recruiting partners that we have to pay, and we use Gerber Palazzo, we use Honeywell, and we also use a couple of other ancillary folks. And their increases are pretty modest as well. They go up year to year. Administrative supervision improvement, there are your principals and all of their office staff and their assistants. So that's district-wide. Now, when we get to central services, special items, and administrative, we're going to talk about BOCES costs there, administrative costs there, and of course, employee benefits. I think you need to know that employee benefits, especially when it comes to insurance, is spread out across the entire market. So this is really early tonight to talk about those benefit increases. But this is our projection. That is a modest increase. Alicia, do you remember what last year's increase was? Putting it on the spot. This is a lower increase than it was last year. I think it was 2.7. So not a very sexy component of the budget, but it is covering what we need to cover, what we have, year-to-year increases in salary as dictated by contracts, benefits, and other supplies. Again, I break down the administrative components for you. There's your Board of Education, what is entailed there, central admin, finance, legal personnel, administrative supervision improvement, central services and special items, and that is what I have for you tonight. It is nothing different than we've done each year. It's, again, a total rollover. We're not asking to add anything. We're not asking to take anything away. And that's where I think I will have comments and questions. Okay. This component should change. You don't want to change your administrative component budget because it doesn't always speak well to the overall budget, because the most important part is what touches the kids, and that's the program component, not come around January. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Crenshaw. So next up, we have the comments from the public on agenda and non-agenda items. The Board of Education welcomes district residents, parents, students, and other people to our meeting. Community involvement at board meetings is encouraged so we can better understand your views. Please be aware that individual student information or particular personnel issues will not be discussed by this board during public session. When recognized by the board president, please state your name and address. Statements are restricted to a maximum of 3 minutes, and speakers will be notified by the board president when the time has expired. When speaking, the public shall direct their comments to the board and not district staff or other audience members. Speakers shall not expect board members to answer questions during public comment. Questions shall be referred to the superintendent or his designee for review, study, and response. If appropriate, the board may request the issue be a discussion item at a future Board of Education meeting, the Board of Education committee meeting. Is there anybody here who wishes to address the board this time? Okay, seeing none. So next we have an executive session scheduled. So I look for a motion to enter into executive session at 6:30 p.m. to discuss the employment history of a particular person. Yeah? Any discussion? All those in favor? We'll excuse ourselves for executive session. We'll get started again. We reconvene at 6:58 p.m. We'll move on to our reports, and we'll begin with Dr. Crankshaw's report.
Okay, I just have a few things. We can communicate tonight that we have a public release or a press release in front of you. I gave it to you earlier. This press release kind of shares with the community the direction we'll take in taking whatever policy we have on the cell phone issue that the shared decision-making team considered. So we're calling this personal electronic device decision, really. And I gave you that handout because I think it nicely shares with you what the process was all about and what decision we sort of came to in terms of the recommendation. And that is to use the existing policy without changes that we had, and the code of conduct. We might need to make a few changes to the code of conduct, Mr. Hill. In words, that was also pretty clear. But procedurally, it is a ban of personal electronic devices, bell to bell, without using yonder couches and locking them up. And the shared decision-making team really felt that that would be the wisest way to go. Have a little trust for the students, and if the time came when that was not working, we would make other considerations. But just to implement and enforce a bell to bell, put your electronic devices away and let's concentrate on learning in the classroom. And that's kind of where we are. That's what the press release says. Again, no changes to board policy, no real changes to code of conduct, so there are no other approvals to necessarily make, but it's kind of where we are with the shared.
Just out of curiosity, I know there's discussion about the yonder pouch. How did you arrive at making this a bell in the cell or stored in the locker versus yonder pouch or other options?
Yeah, so the we really felt that we were trusting our students first, and that's really what we're looking at. And we felt that they could be responsible enough, because we had one in the past dealt with where cell phones weren't visible throughout school. And we thought that we really could trust our students in the building. There were students on the committee, we shared the city committee, and they really felt that they would follow that. Of course, we're going with some speed bumps. There is an addiction amongst everyone, not just students, but adults as well.
Does this apply to adults?
Yeah, absolutely. During instruction.
All staff, teachers, top, bottom, left, or right will all be subject to this speed.
Correct. And of course, they have to period there, lunches there.
Well, with exception, when they have the planning periods, when they have that sort of thing.
For staff,
Yeah.
Yes.
but students can't take them into study hall or lunch.
And that's the way it is currently for all of our students up to grade 8. So just extend. And so there's no real decision to make on a board agenda per se. It's just really, it's a procedure that administration needs to carry out. It's no different than what we could have been doing all along. I don't think we're going to meet up with a lot of resistance. I think
Students are already having some conversation about
Positive.
You know, you'd be surprised if you want students who are really, they know that they have an addiction. They know that it leads to more stress, whether it's through Snapchat, social media, comments that we make throughout the day, or videos. For us, again, it's ensuring that they're safe, they're focused on their education, and not worrying about the other stresses that are outside.
Are you anticipating any pushback from parents, caretakers?
I'm sure there will be some. I'm sure there will be some questions.
Yeah, and I'm sorry the board probably feels to an extent like, oh, I just got hit
exactly.
Well, putting a fence around all the cell phones, and not just cell phones, but Apple Watches and earbuds and eyeglasses that kids can afford.
Are vape pens part of personal electronic device constituent?
Of course. Right, but that's always been. I did want to share that with you, and so you'll be hearing, I'm sure, good and bad. That's the way it has been in every district. Sort of taken a few sort of districts and they've done. We're not unique, I would say. I think Kansas Harry is experiencing some success with this very approach, and so is Raleigh Burke. And of course, skip that one. On the programs and initiatives, I just shared an article with you about teaching phonics and a little commentary on what we are doing in the district, just so if you do see this, I don't really want the board or the academic and extracurricular committee to feel like we're behind the eight ball, because we're actually at least 4 years ahead of many people in terms of the science of reading. So there's a little article for you to enjoy, and up above, I've shared what we're doing at least K through 4 in our classrooms. It's that guaranteed Bible curriculum that we talk about, and Nicole and all the staff has done such a nice job. The shared decision-making team ad hoc recommendations for the solar energy farm, EPC. I'm working on a white paper right now. Of course, we have yet to receive full studies, and of course facilities, budget finance, and board of education will weigh in on that before we come to any decisions. But we are still waiting for that final report. I just talked a little bit about the personal electronic devices, and I'll move to a bit of good news. Nicole Benton and her team were able to secure a $5,000 grant to augment our attendance improvement work. And this $5,000, according to Nicole, she probably speaks better than I can, but we're partnering with FMCC students to become part of that mentoring program. Is there anything you can do? Sorry. You're not supposed to go bar at the computer. Do you want to say anything further while I dry off my computer? Budget and personnel, there is a timeline that I think you are all aware of, budget development. If you ever have any questions about the budget development timeline, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask me. I'd be happy to sit down with you, and so would Alicia. A bit about the governor's, a couple of governor's bills that I want to make sure you're aware of. First of all, allowable temperatures in school classrooms. I actually applaud this. I think it's going to be hard to do, but the governor has signed a bill setting maximum allowable temperatures in school classrooms. And come spring, I think we're going to feel this very acutely. So I think we're looking for healthy and productive learning environments. Sometimes it gets so warm in the spring that you have a hard time functioning. So what this bill does now is give a whole bunch of metrics to what you need to do if temperatures should get to a certain point. And I won't bore you with that right now, but they sound, to me, they sound more than reasonable. I think to somebody old-fashioned who says, I went to school in 1880 and it was fine, but I think we are experiencing some real issues, particularly economics. And through the capital planning that we're doing, we're also trying to account for some of those temperature changes. So we're about to approach a capital project plan for 27, 28, and in that plan is future-proofing our buildings and bringing them into compliance with this particular law, especially in certain buildings, because we don't have pervasive air conditioning in this zero emission bus purchase aid. I think this doesn't apply to us as much, but I think it's important to know that the leasing of buses, the payment for buses, the governor has gone back from 12 years to 8 years, which makes more sense for the longevity of the bus. And that may not apply to us right now, but stay tuned. See what happens. I think we have just this week met with the entire administrative team, and at the beginning of the year, we took the board goals and we set objectives to each of those goals. And I think the administrative team here did a really beautiful job. The directors and then the principals last month, I think. And we set objectives and key performance indicators that we would discuss on a regular basis for how we're reaching the goals that the board has set. And so I'd love to share that with you in more detail at our retreat. And that's really all I have right now, but I think we're doing some really good work. Congratulations on the grant. Things are moving pretty swiftly in the state ed department and the governor's office. Just stay tuned, hang on tight. I'll keep you as informed as I can. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Crenshaw. Next up, we have employee leadership reports, and we have with us this evening Nancy Lisicki from the JTA.
So I'm happy to share the support with you as well as the accompanying slideshow. So second to clean up the water. Hopefully I can speak loud enough over the mask. So for tonight's presentation, actually, I'll make sure, Ms. Costa, are you going to be the clicker? I'll just get started. So for tonight's presentation, I'm planning on providing board members and members of the public with a bit of a deep dive into teaching assistants. I'm a teaching assistant tutorial of sorts. I usually try to keep my presentations brief, usually under 5 minutes, but this one needs and deserves a little bit more time. I recognize that there are differing levels of knowledge base regarding teaching assistants. So tonight's goal are to ensure that everyone has the same information and the same understanding of the roles and responsibilities of teaching assistants here in Johnstown and what they add to the daily function of our schools.
And just to let you know, the board has the presentation.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. We're on the first slide. Great. Let's begin with certification. Teaching assistants must be certified. There are different levels of certification, and there are requirements for competency through an exam, experience, and collegiate study. All TAs must begin at level 1, where they're required to pass the New York State Assessment of Teaching Assistant Skills. This test assesses the knowledge and skills of teaching assistant candidates in the areas of reading, writing, mathematics, and instructional support. TAs also have to participate in training workshops about child abuse identification, DASA, and school violence intervention. Next slide. Once certified, TAs work through the levels of certification that are outlined here. This is where the requirement for collegiate study comes in. Once teaching assistants reach level 3, 100 hours of professional learning in CTLE, which is continuing teacher and leader education, every 5 years is added to the certification requirement. Mrs. Panton, we're really fortunate. She's been working very closely with the JTA over the last couple of years, ensuring that all of our teaching assistants, regardless of the certification level, are provided with quality professional learning. As certified professionals, under the regulations of the Commissioner of Education, teaching assistants are eligible for tenure. And here in Johnstown, we actually have several teaching assistants who are at that last column, the pre-professional level. That means that they're enrolled in or have completed a collegiate level teacher preparation program. So Johnstown has a very strong commitment to the TA to teacher pipeline. I counted more than a dozen current teachers who came to us as TAs. Here are just a few. There are countless others who I haven't captured here, or who are no longer with the district. The benefits of hiring someone who knows the students, who understands the curricular expectations, who is part of the Johnstown community, and has been part of the school culture, it really can't be overstated. So, now what does a teaching assistant do? So we'll begin with the official definition according to the regulations of the Commission of Education 80-500. A teaching assistant is appointed by a Board of Education to provide, under the general supervision of a licensed or certified teacher, direct instructional service to students. So the teaching assistant is provided with the general, as contrasted with personal or just direct, supervision by the certified teachers with whom they work. The certified teachers are responsible, the ones ultimately responsible for the student's instruction. You probably have noticed, I'm certain that definition is quite broad, and it's purposely defined in these terms to allow for that flexibility to meet student needs. Those needs differ from classroom to classroom, they differ from building to building, they differ from district to district. So tonight I'd like to take some time to introduce to you some of the many ways that teaching assistants here in Johnstown enhance the educational experience. Most often I'll speak in generalities. On occasion I'm going to talk about some very specific teaching assistants and I'll highlight what they do. So one of the most prevalent duties that you'll find the teaching assistants do is working with students in small groups. Sometimes this occurs in the classroom, sometimes other teaching assistants will pull out. They also might be providing pull-out AIS, that's academic intervention services. This time is a gift to students and teachers. It gives individualized, targeted instruction that supports the classroom curriculum. Careful planning and collaboration is required for this type of instruction to be effective. Therefore, TAs are provided with a daily planning period to prepare for these groups. They also use any time they can find throughout the day to meet with classroom teachers to make sure that we have continuity of instruction. So, Mrs. Kelso, she's a teaching assistant at Pleasant Valley. She shared a summary of her work in the small group setting. Here's what she said. As a teaching assistant in first grade, I'm responsible for working with students in math, ELA, and 6-step groups. Each day I utilize the designated lesson materials for math and ELA, where I work with a small group. I follow the pacing guide Nora and I read and amplified to gather these materials. I'm responsible for a total of 6 groups for 6-step. These groups are different levels of reading, and therefore essentially I'm planning for 3 groups per class. In one group, we're working on below grade level material, another group, we're working at grade level on a book study, and on the third group, we're working on above level book study. I utilize my plan time in its entirety, and even find myself always thinking of ways to work to improve my lessons in my off time. I'm honored and blessed to be a TA in first grade and in GJSD. I work with an incredible group of educators and learn a great deal from them. I build strong, respectful relationships with my students. I look forward to each day I get to educate them and see their growth and smiling faces. On your slide, Mrs. Kelso provided some photos of a game that she put together called SLAT. The students play the game to build their knowledge on tricky words, these are called sight words, as well as short and long words. So, several teaching assistants also provide AIS, or academic intervention services, to our students, usually tier 2 or tier 3 levels of intervention. They provide both pull-in and push-out instruction. These teaching assistants are also responsible for keeping careful data. They monitor the progress of the students with whom they work. This progress monitoring drives the instructional decisions. Additionally, they work with the AIS teachers to analyze and benchmark data. Another requirement placed on AIS TAs is to write progress notes for students on their caseload. They also plan lessons and prepare materials under the general supervision and collaboration with the AIS teacher. And at the secondary level, some TAs provide AIS during night period as well as before and after school. So shifting to a very, very specific teaching assistant assignment, let's look at GJSD school. Luckily, you're going to learn a little bit about the curriculum, student curriculum that we have as I cover this. You know someone really loves their job when you ask them to tell me a little bit about what you do, and they send you an email that you have to edit, and edit, and edit, and edit, and it still ends up being words. So, I want to tell you about what Mrs. Krempa, our PE teaching assistant, provides our district students. Mrs. Krempa said, I co-teach the physical education lifeguarding classes with and under the supervision of Julie Pop. After successfully completing this half-year course, students are certified in lifeguarding, first aid, CPR, and AED, and many are gainfully employed by the district or the local YMCA. Julie and I have been running this course together for 10 years, so we have an excellent understanding of the course material and the best way to present that material. It's a very hands-on course with a lot of skill demonstrations. I make every effort to make sure that the students feel safe and comfortable around me and on them. I also co-teach the 6-week physical education swim unit for grades 8 through 12 with Julie Pop. During the swim unit, Mrs. Pop and I teach the kids the proper technique for a variety of swim strokes, diving, and proper water safety. Emphasis is based on the realization that being able to swim is a life skill, and it's extremely important, especially considering we live in an area with so many bodies of water. The goal is to make sure that all students can safely swim to shore or to a safe edge if they ever need to. She and Julie are also incorporating games, a game section in the pool, where they'll be playing water polo and water volleyball. All right, Mrs. Krempa says this year we also have incorporated two-week modules for the students out of the water. While the students are with us, they learn life skills such as first aid, responding to emergencies, treating some illnesses, caring for wounds, burns, splinting, concussion protocol, CPR, and how to use an AED. And lastly, she said, I co-teach the swim units for students at Warren Street under the general supervision of and with Mrs. Pop and Mrs. C.D. Cromer. Students participated in 9 to 10 lessons throughout the month of October. The main goal there was to keep the students safe and increase their skill and confidence levels. Now you know all you need to know about pool. I didn't realize they did so much, honestly. This was really eye-opening to me. Okay. So teaching assistants also fill vital roles in our school libraries. They not only match readers to books, but they teach library media skills as well, following a set scope and sequence. To prepare for this, our library teaching assistants attend monthly workshops with the BOCES Instructional Resource Center with their faculty, where they learn about the resources available to them. They also attend monthly virtual meetings with other librarians in the HFM BOCES area, with a focus on collaboration and support. Both of our elementary libraries are staffed solely with teaching assistants. And there's a part-time teaching assistant support in the Library Media Center at the secondary level here at GHS. She's part-time because when she's not in the media center, troubleshooting Chromebook issues, providing academic help to students. She's also supporting our distance learning room, and where she, among other things, manages material and inputs grades for the host teachers. So the second most prevalent use of teaching assistants following providing small group instruction is utilizing them as substitute teachers. We are all equally aware of the sub shortage. So our teaching assistants are called on often to fill those vacancies. At a moment's notice, our TAs skillfully implement classroom teachers' lesson plans. I can tell you, I've done it before, I've said it before. It's not easy, pivoting at the very last minute, but our TAs do so, and they do their best, and our students benefit as well. Teaching assistants also perform some of the more uninspiring duties throughout the day. They have hall duty, They oversee ISS, they supervise the lunchroom, and they monitor students during recess. Some of the busiest times of the day are arrival and dismissal, and that's another time that our teaching assistants shine. They are often among the first people to greet our students in the morning, setting the tone for a great day at school, and they're responsible for ensuring a safe and orderly departure each day. Standing outside in the cold, in the wind, in the rain, is without question the least glamorous job. There they are, day in, day out. So to prepare for this presentation, I reached out to teaching assistants inquiring about their duties because, let's face it, I don't really know what everybody does all day long. One thing that came up repeatedly in the replies was the emotional connection that teaching assistants make with students. For example, I greet every bus student by my name in the morning, and I tell students I see you. This is what I told us that. I love being a positive role model daily to show students that no one is perfect and everyone has struggles. They can do it. That's from Mrs. Proctor. I have so many little friends that come to me when they're upset and happy as well. They share their feelings with me. It's a complete honor. That's from Mrs. Proctor. And finally, I provide emotional support to students who are regulars in the room that I share with other TAs. They truly need and crave the support and love that they receive in our room, and that's what Mrs. Chamberlain. Finally, I'd like to wrap this presentation up with a story from Mrs. Kramer, who's a teaching assistant at GJSD. Mrs. Kramer sent this email to me. She said, I have one student who I work with daily during her study halls and lunches. She's a student who stopped coming to school in a year last year. So as you can imagine, she's a bit behind this year trying to get caught up. She went from failing everything last year to being on the high honor roll for the first time in her life this year. This made my heart stop. Connections like these save kids. Good job. Thank you for your time this evening. I hope this presentation achieved its goals, ensuring that everybody present has the same information, the same understanding of the roles and responsibilities of teaching assistants here in Johnstown, and what they add to the daily function of our schools, which, as you can see, is sometimes beyond measure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Masuki. Okay, board report. So there is just a quick reminder of the status of training required for board members. So if you find yourself on the list needing to update your training, please do so. If you have training that you have completed as a component of your day job, you can feel free to submit that to Miranda for record purposes. Any questions on that? Okay. Committee reports. We have an audit, budget, and finance report. This is December 11th, when we met. We reviewed the expenses and revenues for the year so far. Everything seems to be on track. We reviewed the treasurer's reports for September and October. The reports were created after reconciliation and balancing. Requested that account transfer report include a summary total line for outflows and inflows in order to make a comparison easier for those who review the report. It was also received that the school lunch fund is running in the black after many, many years of running in the red. We went through the budget planning, 2024-25. And reviewed the slideshow presentation that Dr. Crankshaw made this evening. Reviewed the budget format, and we reviewed the calendar for the budget vote board election later on in the school year. Reviewed bids for the 24-25 capital holiday project. This is for the Knox Foundation window well repairs in summer 2025. The contractor has been selected and is in the contract now. Next committee meeting will be Wednesday, January 15th at 6:30 p.m. in the district office. And that's when we will review the capital component of the budget. So we also have a personnel committee meeting. That's Jen.
So at the last personnel committee, we reviewed some correspondence. We had a thank you note from Mrs. Calorie thanking us for her ABCD award recently. We also discussed heard the results of the two collective bargaining MOAs, which are being considered tonight's agenda. We reviewed the MOA with the CSEA regarding the overtime levy, and the MOA with JTA on teaching assistant starting wage. We also talked about the schedule for collective bargaining negotiations upcoming. And we reviewed some casual employment duties and compensation. Dr. Cranshaw talked about the request from Mr. Kramer about the clock runner and shot clock operator in basketball games. Reviewed pay rates that we adopted back in July. Talked a little bit about some civil service matters and reviewed the budget planning that we reviewed tonight. And that's about it.
Okay. Thank you very much. I do not have any correspondence to report this evening, so we'll move along to the consent agenda. In an effort to expedite the business of the Board of Education, but in no way meant to diminish the importance of each item, the consent agenda may be used for the items in this section. Items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any one board member. Items not removed will be adopted by general consent without debate. Any removed items may be taken up either immediately after the consent agenda or placed later on the agenda at the discretion of the board. I would like a motion to approve items listed in the sections of this agenda titled Consent Action Business, Consent Action Personnel, Consent Action CSE, CPSE 504 Committee Minutes. Is that second vote? Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. It's unanimous. So we move down to item 11, action items business. I'd like to recommend that we do a cluster vote for item 11A through J. Anybody want? So I have a second. Mr. Gett, do you have the motion to do a cluster vote? That's what we did. Okay. All right. So, if nobody has any objections, we'll do that section as a cluster. So, I'd like to make a motion. I guess Will, you made that motion. Jen, you seconded the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor? Action items, personnel. So, what I'd recommend is we cluster section 12A through H. Anybody have any disputes there? So I look for a motion to Leslie. Any discussion? discussion, questions? All those in favor? Okay, thank you. So we'll take the last three individually. So I'd like a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to accept the resignation for purposes of retirement for Kristen Mishaw, elementary teacher, effective end of day June 30th, 2025. Well, second? None? Any discussion? All those in favor? Next we have retirement of Michelle Abel. Look for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to accept the resignation for purposes of retirement of Michelle Abel, art teacher, effective end of day June 30th, 2025. Okay? Second, Will? Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? Lastly, I'd like a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to accept the resignation for purposes of retirement of Andrew Coppola, music teacher, effective end of day June 30th, 2025. Mark? Well? Any discussion?
Just to say that each of these educators probably have a collective experience in the district of about 85 years, and they're going to be very difficult to replace. And some great educators retiring, but well deserved. So Michelle Abel graduated from Albany every day for 31 years.
Okay, if there's no questions, all those in favor? All right, unanimous. Thank you very much. I'd like to congratulate all of those individuals and well-deserved careers and being able to enjoy their retirement. Next up, I do not believe we have any board discussion items. Then we have some upcoming meetings and events. January 8th is the Operations and Planning Committee meeting at 6:30 p.m. January 15th is the Personnel Committee at 5:30 p.m. January 15th is the Audit, Budget, and Finance Committee at 6:30 p.m. January 16th is the Business Meeting at 6 p.m. Every meeting's at the district office except the board meeting, which will be at, I believe, we'll be back in the small cafeteria. And then we'd like to finish the evening with an executive session, so I'd like a motion to enter into executive session at 7:36 p.m. To discuss the employment history of a particular person and current litigation. Well, Mark? Any discussion? All those in favor?